which was quite worrying because with the guidelines, we had to go appointment only. After the initial first 2 weeks when we were rushed off our feet, we couldn't get appointments in. It was just nobody was booking in, and it was very, very worrying. But then things started to get better slowly but surely. Like we started to get a lot of trading, and now I feel like we're leveling out a bit, and things are getting back to how they used to be. So we're just fingers crossed that we've no second lockdown that's going to shut us down and put a stop to that. But yeah, we're doing good. Business is good. How about yourself?
Yeah, well, same here. Exactly the same. It was difficult at the start, opening back up because we were very busy the first couple of weeks, and then it just crashed. You know, we've all been in the same boat, brother. But you know, I understand. Obviously, you've got a few members of staff. You know, one of my questions is, you know, obviously you've got a lot of staff. How do you find running a business with staff, same as myself? How do you approach things, brother?
Yeah, I mean, it has its trying times, and we have 11 barbers, so it's quite a big team. But to be fair, I'm very lucky because I feel like everybody is in the same mindset. We're all very ambitious. Everybody's happy to take on responsibility. We like to get out and about and go to shows. Everybody's likes to compete and put themselves out there. And to be honest, it's like we grow together. See, I feel like as individuals, we have our limitations, but as a team, I feel like we tick all the boxes. There's nothing that we won't try. There's nothing that we don't want to learn. Like we like to get out and compete in different places. We travel to different shows, meet different people. And I'm quite lucky to have such an ambitious team, to be honest with you. Very, very responsive and very good. Like they're the heart and soul of my business. Do you know what I mean? Super.
So you've built this team up now over the whole time you've had your business. How long have you been open?
This is our 11th year. So we've been open 11 years this August, just gone.
Brilliant. So let's hear the story from the start.
Say that again, sorry.
Let's hear the story from the start, when you first opened until now. Yeah,
so I was originally from Preston, and I was a single dad, and I had always cut hair in the background of every job that I'd ever had since being a teenager. I kind of specialised in clipper designs and hair art, and that came from a young age because my mother had bought clippers, and rather than take my brother and my cousins to the barbers, it was my job as the eldest to shave their hair and cut their hair. Is that a northern thing? I don't know, maybe a council estate thing. But yeah, it was. Eventually, it became a chore and it got boring. So then it led me to try new things and start putting like little night ticks in the hair, and then night ticks became something more. And then I was trying to do dragons and this, that, and the other. And like, it led me on other jobs. I was a roofer, but in the background I was cutting people's hair. People would come round before a night out for a haircut, and eventually becoming a single dad, I decided that I needed a job that I enjoyed. I needed a job where I felt like I was good at and I could progress. So I went to college and became a barber, and then I moved up to Barrow-in-Furness. I worked at a local barbershop for 2.5 years, nearly 3 years. And then the opportunity came to open my own place, which I took. I never meant to end up with 11 staff. It was just a case of I was enjoying my job. I was enjoying the industry. I'd competed a couple of times. So I opened the shop, and that's where it came. The team just slowly built up, and I found that as I started to build my team, I found that more people wanted to come and work with us, and that's how it's gone from then to now. It's we still to this day, we get people that want to work with us, but we just haven't got the room. You know what I mean? It's this point we're full. There's 12 barbers in the shop. We've got 11 chairs. So we have to rotate staff, rotate shifts, and I couldn't possibly fit anybody else in. But it's good. It's been brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, like you know, I've been following you for about 3 years now on Facebook and Instagram. I've met you at a few of the shows. Very impressed with your work. Very impressed with your hair design work and so on. Obviously, you know, with obviously running a business myself, I understand the difficulties of it. And obviously with this COVID now, it's uncertain times. But, you know, we always got to keep ourselves perked up. How do you keep your staff? How do you keep their vibration and their mentality high in the shop?
I try my best, like, not to so much focus the promotion of the business around myself and the business. And I tend to try and get my staff to photograph the work. I try and get them to, I give them compliments, and I'll walk around the shop and I'll tell them, listen, take a photograph of that work. I want to promote you, and I'll promote them as well as I'm promoting myself. When shows come up, I will tell them, I think you do well in this category, and I'll encourage them to compete, because I feel like they need to understand that there's more to this industry than standing behind your chair and churning out skin fades like 4 or 5 days a week. So, I mean, that's worked well for me in the past. We entered just before lockdown. We managed to get to Blackpool and we entered an NHF competition. And one of the lads in the shop, I'd said to him, like, listen, there's a lad that his hair he cut, and I seen the potential, and I said to him, if you take him and you enter this category, there's a very good chance you win it. And he took the lad to the competition, and he competed, and he won the category, first place. So, I mean, that's, for me, it was what inspired me when I first started to compete. It made me realise that I was better than I thought I was in other people's eyes. So by encouraging my staff to compete and encouraging them to put themselves out there, regardless of the negative criticism, because once you put yourself out there, you're putting yourself out to the negativity as well as the positivity. But you've just got to learn to take both and just take it as it comes. So I encourage them to take the negative with the positive and put themselves out there. And I feel like maybe they feel the same way as me, that they're actually better than what they thought they were, given the fact that they get so much positive feedback off the work that they do put out there, and the fact that they win awards when they enter the competitions. So that's how I try and keep the vibe up in the shop, and try and keep the team, like, how do you say, motivated, and show them that there's more to it than just working in the shop.
That's great. That's great advice for people who are watching, who need advice on, you know, picking their staff up, basically. Like you said, it's very good. You know, don't just make it about me. Promote your staff, get your staff out there, and, you know, evolve your business and your advertising around the qualities of your staff. Definitely. So, well, obviously, you mentioned awards, which is one of my later on questions, but we're going to jump into that right now. Obviously, like you said, you went to one of the award show. I've noticed you've won a few over the last few years. Can you just go through what you've done? I know you were in the BBA finals as well, and we'll talk about that as well.
So the first award I won was from the NHF. I entered, I think it was 4 or 5 years in a row. They had a category called Creative Clippers, which was right up my street, because, like I say, I feel like I specialise in clipper design. That's my love in this industry. It's like, obviously, I'm a barber, and I give my customers what they want when they come through the door. But my passion is clipper art. So I entered the NHF competitions like 5 years in a row, and I think out of that I got 2 firsts, a second, and 2 thirds. And then I was in the BBA Pattern Masters final in 2015. I was in the grand final. I didn't win that. And then I won a Hall of Fame award in 2018. I was in the BBA final. Actually, I was in the BBA final 2014 and 15 and didn't win. And then I was in the BBA final for the Barber of the Year, where I met Rob Grosvenor. And that was in 2019. And I'm a finalist for 2020, which didn't go ahead and got postponed to November at first, but October, Sounds International, and that got cancelled. So I think that's going ahead in March. So I'm still a finalist for Barber of the Year in March next year. So I'm looking forward, and fingers crossed I can do better than I did last time when I faced Rob Grosvenor.
I know, our good friend, old Rob, good old Robert. Anyway, so with and you've won, hasn't your shop won a couple of awards as well?
The shop collectively, the shop hasn't won an award, but some of my staff have won awards. We've had guys in the shop. We've had 4 Hall of Fame awards off the BBA, individual awards. We've had, when we went to Blackpool just before lockdown, I think we come away with four separate awards for individuals. We had a first place, a second place. I picked up a third place in a photographic category, and one of the trainees picked up third place in an apprentice category. So we did pretty well in that competition.
Were you were they nervous? Did you have to give them any advice on tackling the competition?
Yeah, it was. Everybody was quite nervous. I get nervous myself still competing. I've competed for years. I've put myself out there, and I will do for years to come, because I just love it. I love getting out there, but the nerves is just something that's there. And I just say to them when they go in, like, if you're not nervous, you're not going to do well. If you think that you've nailed it, if you go there too confident, then the likelihood is you're not going to produce your best work, because the nervousness is what drives you. It's what makes you more vigilant. It makes you it keeps your eyes on the ball, basically.
Gives you tunnel vision focus.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. So I mean, I was really pleased with the outcome at Blackpool for the NHF competition, and I was made up for the young lad who was training with us, because he was very, very nervous. He'd only been with us for 6 months, but managed to pick up a third place, and it was a great day for him, and it's encouraged him, and it's made him feel now, that he's got something there, and he's been training, he's built on that, and he's built his little clientele in the shop, and he's got, he's looking forward to the next competition. So he's done himself justice.
It's great. So you mentioned photos. I've noticed you've worked with Chris Foster over the years doing photo shoots. Let's talk about photos, and what got you into photography?
Well, to be honest, it was only because I'd done Chris's one program, and part of the program is the exposure photo shoot. So for that you had to come up with an idea of a photo shoot that you wanted to do, and which was quite hard to think of at the time, because it was like something that I'd never delved into before, I'd never thought of, and we came up with a Mad Max theme, and Chris said that we could have between 2 and 4 models. So I thought, I'm going to go all out. I'm going for 4 models. I'm going to go for this Mad Max theme, because I felt like that was a theme where I could incorporate the design work, and it wouldn't look out of place, because obviously if you've seen the Mad Max films, they're just bedlam.
Never.
So it was a lot of fun getting the stuff together. It was like panic stations, because I think I had about 2 weeks to get everything together, but I managed to get like American football shoulder armour, a leather jacket that I'd ripped apart, and I was kicking it around in my backyard, and I think my neighbours thought I was having a nervous breakdown or something, and it was absolutely class. But that was my first photo shoot, the first time I'd ever dipped my toe into that realm, and I was quite pleased with the outcome. The photos came out great. Like working with Chris was a brilliant experience, and Andy, the photographer, such a nice guy. And then when the photo,
Andy Cusack, yeah.
Andy Cusack, yeah, absolute gent. But then when the photos were produced, I sent him about and to see if I could get any exposure from him, and I managed to get him in Barber MV magazine. I did actually like order some copies of the magazine in May, and I've never received them, which has annoyed me a little bit because it's my first ever.
That's heartbreaking, that is.
Yeah, I've actually paid for them. I've messaged to try and get them, but I'm just like, I'm not holding out any hope for that, because I feel like my message would be.
Barber Envy, if you're watching this, get Paulie's copies, man. Come on, sort it out. SweeneyTV said, get it sorted out. Get it sorted out.
Yeah.
But, mate, listen, I seen your photo shoot. Very impressive. Very, very. The hack
pleased with it.
Were out there. Like you said, you used very good pictures. The background was brilliant. I watched you through the day on Chris's story and your story. I was very impressed with it. Me and Rob were going to do one with Chris as well this year, which obviously didn't happen because of this nonsense going on. But anyway, SweeneyTV, we've got a special guest coming on. We're just going to sort of introduce him first, really. Paul, if you give some information on Ken Riley, I'm just going to add him to the chat.
Okay. Yeah, so Ken, like I say, I moved to Barrow from Preston, and Ken, I've lived here for 16 years now, but Ken's barbershop's been open for 56 years, and it's, for me, that's just inspiring. Like nowadays, people open barbershops left, right and centre. They open them up, they last a few years, they close down, there's no longevity, and people are not ambitious enough. But I mean, for me, what Ken's achieved, like in surviving for 56 years and keeping his shop as busy as it is today, going through so many style changes and cycles of different haircuts and styles, is absolutely fantastic, unbelievable.
Well, we've currently got Ken on screen now. Ken, if you just unmute your thing, which I think you've just done. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
All right, Ken.
Yeah, Paul, all right.
How are you doing?
Very well.
Well, welcome to SweeneyTV. We just want to just sort of ask you a few questions, a little introduction on yourself. How long have you been barbering, and any stories you'd like to tell us?
Well, I started serving my time, and in them days, you did 3 years as an apprentice, 2 years as an improver, and then I've had my business for 56 years, so 61 years in the business. So.
Wow.
No time off for good behaviour.
Was there any good behaviour?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There's one thing you learn to do when you're a barber is make the most of your spare time. You don't get a lot of it. You'll know.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Definitely. So, Ken, have you got any stories from back in the day you would like to tell us about the evolution of barbering and how you've seen the business change?
Well, I honestly think it's in a better state than it's ever been. The standard of barbering, the standard of hygiene in the salons is so much better than it was in my day. I was lucky. I had a very progressive boss who actually is still alive, and Jack Turnoff, and he kept everything right, you know, sterilizers and everything else, which was quite unusual in the day. So you meet everybody, you meet all sorts of people, you know. People should never forget the client in front of you has probably got a very interesting life, you know. They're not all. I mean, I had one client, he served in 2 world wars and the Vietnam War.
Wow.
I used to say to him, did you ever go anywhere you didn't cause trouble? You know.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, it's a good business, yeah. But you've got to be dedicated to it, to be quite honest. It's not just a job.
It's a lifestyle, Ken, isn't it?
It is. It really is. Yeah. If all you're going to do is turn up at 8:30, go home at 5:30, and that's it. You know, you're wasting your time if you want to progress in the business. And there's always something to learn.
Definitely. Every day is a school day.
Well, and it's amazing. You can learn something off most people. Even some of the worst barbers I ever came across had a little technique that was good. It was worth recording. You know, it's just one of those things. And you do meet some absolutely tip-top barbers these days. You really do.
Ken, have you what have you cut any famous people or politicians or anybody really up there over the years, my friend?
Well, not really. I mean, there'd be people that you didn't know, because when I was serving my time and the first nightclub in town opened up, and the guy that owned it had big contacts in Blackpool. So you got artists that were either on the way down or on the way up, but they were all tip-top entertainers. You know, you'd get Tom Jones for a one-night stand when he was top of the hit parade. I mean, he got one band, Herman's Hermits. He paid 25 quid for them, and when they came to Barrow, they were top of the hit parade. But everybody honoured the contracts. But the ones that were there for a full week, because my boss was well in with the owners of it, we used to get all the artists coming down on a Monday, and there'd be basically a photo call, you know, so we get people like the Dallas Boys and that, you know, you guys are too young to remember them, but they used to come down, get their hair cut and have a photo call and all the rest of it. And you saw some really strange people. There was one lady called Lisa Rosa. She was a big band singer and very, very well known. For a mouth on her when she came, I swear. We were never used to this, you know. But yeah, I mean, you get all the things where people come in, you know, and the wife says, I look like Elvis. Well, I don't know what optician she went to, you know, but... So, I mean, but people now, the styles are more individual. You know, they're not following who's top of the hit parade or anything like that. They've got their own ideas. Whereas in my day, you know, they'd come in, they would look like Tony Curtis or whatever, you know. But you needed a good imagination.
Super.
So, Ken, obviously with your shop, still open?
Yes. Well,
yeah.
not today. I don't work Sundays.
Yeah, well, none of us do. Well, Paul does. Paul's at work also. But how's business? Do you have staff? And what's your sort of like, you know, daily routine sort of thing?
Well, I don't go in as much these days. To be quite honest, if I realised I was going to live this long, I'd have looked after myself. You know. So. Yeah, I mean, I have one or two heart problems sort of thing, so I don't go down more than 2-3 times a week. But I go because I've still got clients that came to me when I was an apprentice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly. Yeah.
Wow. 61 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, I mean, I don't like client now, but the lifespan used to be keeping a client 7 years before there was a change round. So you had to reinvent yourself every 7 years.
Yeah.
But I think we bucked that trend after a while.
It's quite funny you mentioned that, because I do see a massive drastic change every 7 years in our industry.
Yeah, yeah.
And the last one was quite recently with the tours, when all the new clippers come out. Big change I was. Basically when the foilers got introduced.
Yeah. Well, cordless clippers and foilers.
Yeah, big change. And it was quite surprising to see the difference in haircuts and how people would create new shapes, new hairlines, how they would drop the back down or come around more. You know, it's like even when you see the Americans now, they're like leaving the front part and balding it from their back and then fading it all in and just keeping the front part. Yeah. You know? And at first when you start seeing them doing it, you're like, what are you doing? But the actual finish result looks good.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it back in the day, in the late 50s, it was dictated by the American thing. We were coming out the Teddy Boy era with the DAs and all the rest of it. And then we were going into the crew cuts, which later was referred as a flat top or whatever. And of course, you didn't have the gels and stuff then to make it stand up. So you get somebody with fine hair, it was a nightmare. But my old boss, because we had the contract in the local hospital, we knew we were using dry shampoo. So we put the dry shampoo on the hair and it just give it that body and blow it back, and then you could level it off.
It's absolutely crazy you mentioned dry shampoo. I've just ordered some now.
Yeah, so it all turns round, doesn't it? You know, comes back, you know. I'm trying to convince our guys that the hair pieces are going to come back at some point.
They are.
They have come back.
They already are.
I mean, that was one of the reasons that I was sort of very much into the nightclubs, going to them, because the manager of the 99 Club, which was the only one in Barrow at the time, I fitted him with a hairpiece. And to give him confidence, I took him to Blackpool Promenade, because it's always windy in Blackpool. It's windy in Barrow, but it's windier in Blackpool, and walked him down the front to give him the confidence it wasn't going to blow off.
My question is, Ken, did it blow off?
No, it didn't blow off. No, it didn't blow. We make sure they stay on. Absolutely. You know, I mean, at one time we used to do a plaster cast of the shape of the head, the top of the head, and then send it away and get it moulded. So every bump that was in the top of your head was in your hairpiece, the base of your hairpiece. And so one piece of tape down there was going nowhere.
You paste it on and then put it
off?
Yes,
the plaster of Paris, like you do the arms. Yeah, that's what we do. Mark it all out, cut it out, send it away, get a plastic base made, which went underneath the hairpiece and to it. And one of the funny things was that one of our clients, who was a bit of a lad, got a hairpiece, but he had a taste for the married ladies. And her husband jumped out of a little garden as he was walking home with this lady one night and gave him a bang over the head with a bottle. And of course, it didn't do any good because it was a fiberglass thing he had on the top of it. So the guy was actually left with it holding this hairpiece, and the guy who owned it was up the road and away.
Oh, that's belting.
So the first call I get the next morning is, how quick can you get me another hairpiece?
I hope you charge him full whack as well, Ken.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I should have charged him for keeping his name out of the papers.
Yeah. So Ken, I've got to ask you, what was it like cutting in the 70s with the Mohicans and the flat tops and the?
Yeah, fine. I mean, the flat tops are no problem. I mean, they were even easier because then the flat top comb came in. Mm. I mean, in the late 50s, you were doing it purely by looking at it and scissor over comb to get the bulk down. And of course, the flat top comes in, you can zoom it across it. And I mean, I had to laugh because I mean, they have a little spirit level on them, which is a load of rubbish. Because you look at a person, usually one eye, or their eye is a bit lower than the other, or the ear is a bit. So it's got to be how it looks, not whether it's perfect. It's how it looks to the person sat in front of you, you know. So the spirit level meant nothing. Well, we used to say bullshit baffles brains. I'm not politically correct, by the way.
I don't think any of us barbers.
That's good to me.
Yeah, Paul, any questions for Ken?
No, not at all.
I just want to know, like, I mean, do you see now the styles recycling themselves? I mean, obviously, with you being a barber for 61 years, like what we see nowadays, obviously, everybody's knocking out skin fades. But, I mean, everything, do you see that everything's recycling itself and going?
It does. It all comes back through.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a Mohican in the late 50s.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they were so unusual. I mean, you just didn't see one in Barrow at all. Right. In fact, one of the funny things was he was a contractor. weeded his hair. He went down to Preston, and the bloody barber down there claimed credit for it in the national press. He wasn't one of your friends, Paul. He's dead.
Well,
I mean, even in the designs, I mean, in the early 60s, Jack that worked for me, he was a good artist, and he did the 3 lions in somebody at the back of somebody's hair and coloured it in, and that got in the national press because it was unusual at the time. It's not unusual now.
Yeah.
But,
well, that was it was the same in Preston. I feel like in the 90s. Well, I was a teenager, but as a teenager, I was probably one of about 4 people in Preston that actually bothered to do designs in Afro-Caribbean hair. Yeah. And at that time, it was predominantly an Afro-Caribbean thing. You would never see a Caucasian person with Caucasian hair with designs in. It was all Afro-Caribbean. Yeah. It was so rare. Yeah. But obviously nowadays, like you say, things recycle and they get more popular and stuff like that. So it's
I mean, Afro-Caribbean hair, I mean, it's a real talent to be able to cut that correctly. Yeah. It is so different. The worst thing I've ever had to do was fit a hairpiece for a Brazilian sailor who was black and very, very tight, curly hair. Well, of course, with a hairpiece, you've got to have something to comb it into to make it blend.
Wow.
It was an absolute nightmare. And the only thing I can speak in Portuguese, because they speak Portuguese in Brazil, is peruca, which won't take me very far. It means hairpiece. And he ended up by going home saying ta-ra.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So, Ken, just wanted to talk about education in barbering. Obviously, you know, it's one of these things which, us big barbers, we want to see at a university level with a degree and, you know, be where it should be, because I think the barbering education side and hairdressing has been left aside by the schools and the universities and the colleges. It's coming back very strong now. Yeah. My young apprentice, little Joe, he's in Cardiff and the Vale, and there's quite a big, strong class. Just want you to pick your thoughts on that, and then on to Paul then with that same question.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's fantastic. I mean, we should be registered, you know, and we should be getting grades. Let's take us back to where we were. We used to be in the Guild of Surgeons.
Yeah.
Many years ago. Mandy, I've tried not to let any blood all my life, but but no, I mean, you were respected, you know, and it should go down that line, that people do recognise your qualifications and what you can do. I sometimes get a little bit despondent with some of the colleges that actually pass people out with their MVQs and they're not up to the job.
Yeah,
happens all the time, and it's frustrating to see. You know, I've worked in most of the colleges in Wales, teaching the IQAs, and you know, like a lot of the information they give me is all to do with money and numbers, and it's all to do with there's no duty of care coming from the bigger offices to they just want to get them in, qualified and out. Not any due care attention of what they're actually doing for that certificate.
Yeah. It's all about it. They've got to have passes so they can run their courses next year.
Yeah. That's it. I'm not having to dig at any.
Oh no, I'm not. I mean, I'm not particularly in a particular college. It's just ones that have come over the years. At one time,
the system which is broken, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, Ken. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go on.
No. I'm just saying, qualification should mean something.
Yeah.
Paul, what's your thoughts, brother?
I'm of the same mindset. I feel like 100% everybody should be state registered. There should be some level of professionalism within this industry that can be regulated. Like, I mean, there's state registered barbers in our shop. I'm a senior state registered barber myself. And I feel that is one way of displaying your professionalism and putting it out there for your customers and to other barbers and things like that. But I feel like it should be mandatory. You should have to prove your qualification at a minimum before you can open a shop, at least. At least before you can open a shop. Like,
let's face it, it's quite dangerous, isn't it? With the stuff we use, you know, just letting anybody loose with razors and.
Well, I got a bit of information. I know people who are cutting hair at home, and their tools are either out of line cutting people, or their foilers are damaged like to smithereens, where they just haven't bothered changing the blade. They probably don't even clean them. Yeah. They're flying around while COVID's going on, cutting hair willy-nilly, thinking it's funny, charging 20 quid a haircut. People seem to be dull, and they just like accepting, not realising that that person is, you know, like us guys here, we're super clean, everything's super tidy. Yeah. I just bought brand new tools now. All my customers are really happy. The COVID's safe. You know, Paul, you know what my thoughts are on all this malarkey, but you know, guys, we got to do what we got to do to stay open. It looks like we're going into another lockdown. Ken, how are you over the lockdown? Let's have a little chat about that, and same with you, Paul. Same question. Starting with Ken.
I've never had as much time off in my life.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
It's like a bit of getting used to. I'm not sure the wife was too chuffed, but but it was really strange. I mean, that's probably why I don't go in as much now, because I've got used to it over the last 3 or 4 months of not going down. But you feel sorry for your clients. I mean, we all did. We all got phone calls from people that we know, but we wouldn't go out and do it. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even let the wife trim my hair. I said, my clients can't get it cut. I'm not having it cut. You know, I don't have a lot these days, but you know, you've got to go by the rules. You know, we don't want to spread it. You know, it's.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you think on lockdown 2 then, with it sort of being sort of open, sort of closed?
I'm praying that we don't get a second lockdown. The first lockdown was.
I'm currently locked down now. We're locked down 6 o'clock today. We come over in Cardiff, Wales.
What lockdown? As in the same as.
We're locked down, but I'm opening the shop tomorrow.
Right.
I've spoken to the Conservative MP in my local area, and he said I can open 5. I'm fine, because they've already checked this. But again, like, what's happening in your area up there? I thought you were all locked down as well.
Well, no, we at the minute the pubs and restaurants have to shut at 10. But I mean, like you say, it was frustrating when everything was mandatory, and they were saying like you have to follow these guidelines, and we were following the guidelines, and there were certain places that weren't following the guidelines. But nobody was regulating that. Nobody was checking it. But then they brought it into law, and they brought out the QR codes and the track and trace, and then everything got passed as law, so they could actually start to fine people. And then all of a sudden, now people are going out and checking. People are going out and checking barbershops. They're going and checking hair salons, and the reason for that is because they can fine them. You know what I mean? It's like, I know that the salons that have had checks and they've had warnings already because they're not following the guidelines. But I just think to myself, like, when it was mandatory and these people would like, they was doing this, and there was no thought about it whatsoever. Big shop windows, no PPE, full waiting room, not bothered. There was nobody regulating it. As soon as there's money involved, boom, they're there straight away. Unbelievable.
One of the things I find very strange is that takeaway delivery drivers aren't wearing masks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of shops up our street, and they're just walking in, you know, they're all congregating, and they're taking food out to different houses. You know,
no.
I'm sure that they're passing it on, aren't they? You know, it's like taxi drivers not wearing masks and that. I mean, I won't get in a taxi.
It's very bizarre. It's a very strange time.
Yeah. But I mean, we, like you say, Paul, we are regulated. We are doing it. I mean, there's some that aren't. But I mean, we do it for the safety of our staff, our clients, and of ourselves.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah.
I mean, it is so simple, isn't it? Sanitizer, masks,
Yeah.
distance. Simple.
But the thing is,
you've got to make people feel that you're keeping them safe.
Yeah.
You're following the rules.
100%.
Even though the rules are a bit topsy-turvy, when they're saying you can use the shield, then they're saying not use the shield, then they're saying don't use the mask, then they're saying use the mask. It's very confusing. It's very confusing for the youngsters. It's very confusing for us because we're not being told directly what to do. You know, but again, like, you know, it's a difficult time. Obviously, let's pick the vibration back up in the interview now, guys, and we'll go on to something a bit more fun. So tools are very important in our industry, guys. As you know, I am a barberless pro. What would I say? What would the word be? I wouldn't say super fan. I would say something more extreme, very, very more extreme. But I just bought the new black stay gold clippers and the trimmers. I flew them in from the States and they are absolutely brilliant, game changer. And the maddest thing is I got the gold effects and the red effects, the Barber Prodigy ones. I paid about 400 quid for them, 375, and I got them just before Christmas. And they're all totally different. The three clippers are all, the blades are different. The way they do, the way you fade with them, the way the guards, like, it's just crazy, guys. So what tool do you use, Ken? And then same question for you, Paul.
I tend to stick with wall. I've used them for a lot of years. I mean, originally when we started, we had Forfex, and you actually took the heads off and shoved another one in for the different sizes. But Wall revolutionised that by having the adjustable blade. But I mean, I do prefer the cordless stuff, without a doubt, you know. And Lucas, our apprentice, well, I mean, I think he's got more stuff than they have in the wholesalers.
Yeah, they do that, don't they?
Well, I'm glad to see he's keen. That's what does it for me.
Well, that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, Paul. What tools do you use? What's your go-to? Scissors, clippers, trimmers?
So I've got two pairs of scissors that I like. I've got a Black Ninja Mataki scissors, and I've got some Joels. And but the clippers, I'm the same. I'm Wall. I've got the cordless detailer, the Seniors Magic Clips, and the Barrette, and that's basically the heartbeat of my kit. That's what I do things with. I've done all sorts. Like back in the day, I've tried putting designs in my cousins and my brother's hairs with like the beard trimmer on the back of a bronze shaver. So the little flip up bit that does your sideys. And like I remember like doing it one time. I was in the middle of putting a design in my brother's hair, and he's got afro hair, and I've got halfway through it, and it just gave up because it was heating up in my hand and getting red hot, and it just packed in, and that was it. I couldn't do anything. I had no clippers. My brother had half a haircut. He had to stay off school. It was unbelievable.
These are very good for not heating up my friends, for doing designs. Very good for skeletons. These are the UK ones. Very, very good clippers. Obviously, I've got the black and the gold ones, and they're very, very, very good. But yeah, so what ideally, like cones and stuff, guys? Like, do you, for instance, Ken, do you still use the flat topper? Do you use it, Paul? I don't use it.
Yeah, occasionally I do, yeah. But I mean, a lot of my clients now, they haven't got enough on top to make it stand up. I mean, what the staff do use them, the other hairdressers do use them. But I mean, I have the full kit. I mean, I only changed over a few years ago from a cutthroat razor for doing my razor cuts. I now use a blade, you know, because I saw Nicky Oliver from Manchester doing designs with it, and that convinced me that was the way to use a cutthroat razor on the hair, you know, mainly because it's a little bit safer as well, but it just gives a slightly different cut to it. I mean, I don't use thinning scissors at all. I've never used thinning scissors for 50 years. I just thin with a razor, cutthroat razor.
Yeah, I do much prefer razor finish to thinning, definitely.
Yeah.
Do agree there. So again, how do you relax on your day off then, gentlemen? Starting with Paul, how do you relax? Obviously, you know, with your son and stuff. So,
well, I've got a 4-year-old lad, so there's not really much relaxing, to be honest. But I mean, yeah, I'll do anything. I like to play on PlayStation games. Like a lot of my staff are online on PlayStation, so we tend to like play online at night and play games every now and again if I'm not doing something like some sort of coursework or thinking about something that I have to do for the shop or whatever. But yeah, that's it really. I'm not really one for going out much or anything like that. I just like keeping myself to myself and being with my family, and that's it.
Brilliant. And Ken, how do you relax, my friend?
Look, I don't have any trouble relaxing. A glass of red wine relaxes me, no problem at all. I enjoy walking. I'm a big fan of the rugby league. Yeah, proper rugby.
Who's your team, Ken?
Oh, Barrow Raiders.
Oh yeah, I down in Wales. We play
people who go supporting all the big names. Support your local team.
Yes.
Yeah, we got the Cardiff Blues down here. I cut a couple of their hair. They come and see me. It's great guys. Nicky Williams.
There's some wonderful rugby players come out of Wales. Some wonderful rugby players. Yeah.
I used to be pretty good myself back in the day. So anyway, Ken, it's been lovely to have you on, buddy. I'm going to carry on with the interview with Paul now because I've got one more question and we're going to wrap it up. So thank you for coming on. It's been a great honour. This is
brilliant.
Nice to speak to you.
This is saved on YouTube as well, okay? So sorry, Paul, anything you want to say to finish up with Ken?
Yeah, just thanks, Ken. Absolute inspiration. Total legend, mate.
I'll give over.
You definitely are, mate. Definitely.
Hey now.
Great to hear the stories, Ken, and thank you, buddy. We will see you soon.
Bye now.
Cheers, mate. So, Paul, continuing with the interview now. What's next? What's next for you? I know, obviously, we've just set up the ministry. Me, you, Rob, Mark, and Donna. We've got a lot planned coming, but we're not allowed to give any information of that yet. But we just want to let people know that that's coming. And Paul, what's next for you guys?
I think, like, obviously, we're gonna try and push forward and get our names out there, promote Devros as a brand. I'll carry on promoting the team and pushing them to compete and see where we go. I was hoping to expand the shop and maybe look at areas surrounding Barrow to open a shop, but obviously lockdown's put a little stop to that at the minute. But yeah, I think the future's bright. Like, the guys are ambitious. I've got some good lads that have just come through, just trained up. Just acquired a really good lad who's been a barber in Barrow for 5 years, and he's very ambitious. He wants to win awards. He's come to us, and within, like, I think it was a fortnight, he competed and won a second place. So yeah, the future's good. The future's looking good. Brilliant.
So training. Obviously, you train people in the shop or college, or how do you approach your training?
Well, I've done both. Last year, I had a stint of helping out teaching at the college. I was doing the first year of my Cert Ed.
Teaching the students or the IQAs?
Teaching the students.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of teaching there and wet my beak at that. I think there was about 3 or 4 of them went on and progressed to work in barbershops. I'm sure one of them worked for Ken. And we do education in the shop and we train them in the shop. The only downfall to that is obviously there's no qualification to follow on from that, and they're just shop trained. So what we look to do is get them experienced enough so they can become state registered through experience behind a chair. But like, the team's so good and so strong that they can keep their eye on them and bring them through good. and they get taught all aspects because we try to offer everything. So we deal in shaves, we deal in waxing, we do designs. Like some of the guys are hairdresser trained, so they're very good with longer styles, and cutting women's hair and stuff like that. So we get a good range throughout the team. Like I say, as a team, we tick all the boxes, and that's good.
Do you use colour?
We don't use colour. I know there's a couple of guys that can.
I recommend you to get the Osmo starter pack, the 40, the 10 volt, the 5 volt, the bleach, and get the little toners in. Some of the colours you can do with them now, Paul, are absolutely crazy, and it's so easy to use. It's so easy. You just paste it on, brother. It's brilliant, and then just wash it off.
Yeah, we've done some of the stuff in the past, especially with the design work. We've used the bleach and crazy colour and the directions pots and stuff like that, and that's been like it turned out good results. But we tend, like, because we're from such a small town, it's quite I wouldn't say behind, but some things up here are an acquired taste, and there's a lot of people that will follow what other people are doing, and sometimes like what you guys are doing is not necessarily what people will want up here. I feel like, you know, once a certain style sets itself in this town, then that's what you're looking at for the next 6 to 12 months at least. You know what I mean? And at the minute, like, I can see like Rob puts a lot of his colour work up, which looks fantastic, and he doing a lot of silver hair and stuff like that. And to be honest, it's not really took off as much up here. We've got like I said, there's a couple of the guys are hairdresser trained in the shop, so they can do the full colour range and whatever. But there's just no call for it with us at the minute.
So, what, obviously skin fades are popular where you are.
Very, yeah. Every cut, more or less every cut.
And have you got much competition in your area with other barbershops?
Yeah, we've got like, I think up until three years ago, we was like the third barbershop to open in Barrow. There was 3. There was Ken Riley's. There was a place that I used to work called Cuts, and then we opened, so we were the third. And then like that was up until 3 years ago, and then a few Turkish barbers opened, and then a few local people opened shops. So there's like 10. There's about 10 barbershops. But it's a very small town, a very small town centre, and all these barbershops are like town centre barbershops. So very, very close proximity to each other as well as close competition. So it's good. It's good though. It keeps you on your toes and it keeps you moving.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, we're just coming up to wrapping it up now. Thank you for the great interview, brother.
Yeah, loved it.
Obviously, we're gonna have a little. I'm gonna jump on our group in a bit and just ask everybody if we're gonna do a Zoom tonight. If not, we'll set something up for in the week, and also decide who's coming on next week we're doing a ministry show.
Yeah. So
hopefully all 5 of us will be on there, and we're gonna have some guests on there as well, which would be great. Again, Pat, thank you, Paul. It's been great speaking to you, brother.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, man. Honestly, and you know, bringing somebody on like Ken has just really put a cherry on the cake for this week. Like we said, we're constantly leveling up. We were going to do something else, but we scrapped it for maybe do it next time.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, you know, it's great to be back. SweeneyTV, Sean Swiss Sweeney, Sweeney HQ. Thank you, Paul.
No danger.
Take care, brother.
Take care, mate.
Bye now. So, SweeneyTV, like I said, we're coming to the end of the interview with Paul DEVLIN, and I promise you guys that I do the competition to win the seniors. One second. Right, wrong group. Too many groups. Right, so I'm going on there now. Going to click on the video and see how many likes are on there. So we got, the winner is, from the look of it, James Tilk. Well done, brother. Well done. So I'm just writing it is. When it is James Tilk. And that is T-Y-L-K-E. So the winner is James Tilk. James, get in contact. I've just messaged you on the Facebook now. You have won a pair of seniors with a custom blade and all the goodness. I'm going to put it in the box for you now. If you want me to send it to you because of the lockdown, send me your address and I'll post it for you, but you will have to pay the postal and packaging a couple of quid because I'm not paying that because I'm a tight get. I'll pay it. No worries. But yeah, that was the competition. I can't believe a lot of you didn't even enter it. You're actually donuts. I was given a £150 pair of clippers away with a £20 blade on, plus bits and bobs. And obviously it's by me, the Don, the King, the Grandmaster, Master Craftsman, State Registered. Okay? I'm joking. Anyway, SweeneyTV, we are out.